So it's basically less than 24 hours away from this camp being shut down, and it's not looking like there's very much progress going on down here. It looks pretty much the same as it always has. Now we actually have Antifa actually protesting down here, which, yes, anybody can do that if they want to, but they don't live around here, so they don't understand what's really going on. It's unfortunate that the bad people down here have actually ruined it for the good people that live down here. If it wasn't for all the drugs and the meth, people in this area would actually put up with this. But with the drugs and the meth, unfortunately, this whole place has got to go. Very unfortunate. But at any rate, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, you know.
I seen you on the news.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't see me on the news.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, you got to have a TV or something for that, or at least a good cell phone. So you planning to vacate this place, or?
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Even if I don't stay forever, I feel like this is something potentially beautiful about to happen here.
Well,
That's the vision I'm holding. Anyway.
What do you think is going to happen here exactly? I'm just curious.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm holding a vision that this, what used to look like a garbage dump, is going to become this beautiful eco-village. And use...
Do you think that can happen?
I do.
Okay. That would be great if you could. I mean, how do you feel about the drug factor over here?
I don't know, because I don't do drugs and I don't drink.
I sort of figured that would be the
I
case.
smoke a little medicinal marijuana and I have a license for it.
No, that's fine. I smoke it too. But no, it's really unfortunate that it really came to this, because I mean there have always been people that camped out in the woods over there the whole time I owned the building across the road.
Oh, you do?
And the thing is there were always homeless down here, but it was always very quiet.
Yeah.
And there were never any problems until it started about 3 years ago down here. This just turned into, I mean, have you ever seen Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
Mm-hmm.
This is like Barterville. The only thing they're missing is Thunderdome, but they're probably building it in the woods right now.
I made a joke about that. Maybe you could build a coliseum and charge money.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they just haven't thought of it yet. If they did, they would have done it.
I don't know. In terms of drugs, like, I just try to mind my own business. I feel like people are going to do what they do. And there should definitely be a certain amount of rules and guidelines, and they all fall under the umbrella of do no harm. The golden rule.
The golden rule, exactly.
And if people get out of hand, then there's services that can come and help them, but it's those people that need to make the change, right? We can't force that. All we can do is provide resources and be good examples and let them know that if they should change their mind, here's our number.
Yeah.
As counselors or whatever works for them. Counseling works for me. It doesn't always work for everybody. Not the talk therapy anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things that's unfortunate because in essence this is sort of like an anarchy, which I'm an anarchist myself.
I'm reading about it now and I'm realizing I better be careful what I say.
Well,
I suspect I also may be already living that way or trying.
Anarchy, where it comes from is Latin, is anar archime. And translated into English, it strictly means without leaders. That's all it means.
Oh.
It doesn't imply chaos or anything like that. It's just without leaders.
That makes sense.
So, read up on anarchy. I think
I am. I've got this. I've only read the first couple pages. I'm trying to take it in and digest it because it's kind of loaded.
Yep.
But so far, I'm like every single line. I'm like, yeah, I'm already that way.
Yeah.
I'm already that way.
Well.
But this is a nice little pamphlet so far.
Well, anarchy is a good thing, but the golden rule has to be applied when you're doing it. Everybody has their own individual responsibility to their neighbor and their friends. So, I mean, unfortunately, I think that's what broke down here, whereas you said you chose to let people do what they want to do and kind of look the other way. And I can understand that because that's kind of a part of the golden rule. Live and let live.
Sort of.
But
I'm not wanting to nose myself into other people's business, but if someone was being harmed that couldn't protect themselves, like a child or
Yeah.
an elderly person or someone who's challenged bodily somehow or something, then I would intervene.
Yeah.
I would. I can't walk away from things like that.
No, I understand.
I took an oath when I took the oath from the NASW, and I meant what I said.
NASW?
National Association of Social Work.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So even when we're not working, if we see someone being abused, we must report. And I think that that's everybody's responsibility. I don't think we should go nosing into people's business. But if we see that somebody's abusing a pet or child, we don't want that pet or child to be abused.
No.
And most likely the person doing the abuse is also in need of some help,
Yeah.
some treatment.
So,
you know?
I guess from my own point of view, I don't want to sound like I'm a crybaby or anything like that, but I feel like I'm the one being abused here. That and my neighbors. My neighbor, John Kirby over here, who I've known for years. And we're being abused by the drug factor over here. Vandalism, theft of our property, just outright wanton destruction. And, it just isn't acceptable. And unfortunately, these people, the City of Burlington, I've been telling the City of Burlington now for 3 years that they were cooking meth over here and selling meth. And
I've never seen that myself. Being honest, I haven't.
Well, I smelled it many times.
I don't know the smell, so I don't.
Rotten eggs.
Oh, really?
It has a smell of rotten eggs.
Yeah, I've never smelled like a sulfury smell here yet.
Yeah.
As of yet.
But the wind predominantly goes that way.
Yeah.
So I'm more likely to smell it, at my shop.
Right.
Than you would be if you were over here, because the meth is over there and the wind goes that way.
Yep.
So, so how do you think this is going to go tomorrow? Do you think this camp will be closed down?
I hope not. And when I first came here a few years ago, and there was hardly anybody here.
Yeah.
When I got here this time, there were all these people here, and so nobody has come out and said what you just said. Like, if that's true, I'm unaware.
Yeah.
Some little mentions here and there, but I've never done crystal meth, so I wouldn't know what to look for.
Don't.
But I hope they give them a chance, because where else are these folks going to go? At least you know where they are, right? And at least we can offer resources and perhaps interview the neighbors about the things they're most concerned about, and maybe sort of work with the city to, I had some ideas that a fence could be put up so that, it would cut down on noise and you wouldn't have to look at any garbage or whatever. And incrementally, we could really fix this place up. Already a lot of the garbage has been taken away from this place. And I just think if we did it in the spirit of utilizing alternatives like cistern showers and solar panels, and that we could turn it into something that's welcomed by the neighbors.
But you do realize that the drug element here would have to be eliminated. It'd have to be gone. That's just to give you an idea, that people like myself, I own property down here in Sears Lane.
Yeah.
And for over 21 years, there have always been some homeless people that lived here. But they kept to themselves. They didn't bring garbage and spread it all over the place. There were no syringes. Mainly what we had living in the woods over there were people that were homeless that had, mental disabilities, heroin users, and just straight up alcoholics and pill users. And mainly they just kind of kept to themselves. It's the meth people have been the problem.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the crowd of meth people down here, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right. So maybe that needs to be on the top of the list, because I called the mayor and I asked for a meeting, and my question was, because I was talking to someone else who was going to pass on the message, what do we need to do to keep this place?
Yeah.
For people who have nowhere else to go. I also have an idea that, I myself had a stalker and have had problems for the past 4 years, even though I left New Hampshire and fled here. And it's been very difficult for me to get it back together, because they're still doing it to me through cyberbullying and whatnot. But I had this idea that, they offered me a free apartment and I turned it down. So my situation is my own responsibility. It's not that, I had a program that was willing to allow me to have that apartment, but my feeling was that I was highly functional before this stalker came in my life and did all these things.
Yeah.
And I really want to be as independent as I can. So my idea is to get a little pull-behind trailer or motorhome, and I feel like it would save so much money. This one-time splurge of what would cost for a year in an apartment, I could live for at least a few years in a motorhome. So I'm wondering if there are other people that might be open to doing that and, saving money for the folks that have disability, need a ramp to get up into their apartment and things like that. I have significant damage in my body. I think I've been eligible for disability for the past 2 decades, but I chose not to take it because I wanted to go to school and, learn how to help myself and learn how to help other people help themselves.
Yeah.
And I learned quite a bit about how to do that, but I couldn't get hired here for some reason. So I'm just taking it one day at a time, and I don't fall in the category of drug user or abuser, but my heart goes out to people because I think about what is it that made them feel like they wanted to take those drugs in the first place. It's not an excuse, it's just I'm an empathetic person, and I think about those things. I think about what's at the root of someone's problem, and it could be nurture, it could be nature, or it could be a combination of things. And so I just feel like those things need to be taken into consideration, not so that somebody takes advantage of it, but so that we can get to what are the issues, and so that person can lead a higher quality of life.
No, I agree. And it is unfortunate. I asked myself the same question. Why would you take a drug that devastates your body? You stay up for 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours straight, and at that point, you get psychosis. And that's what's happening with these people. I had, his name is Jasper A. Smith. He's one of the people that actually, I think he's living in that thing right over there with the smoke coming out of it, that tent.
Yeah, I don't know. I know who's living there, and that's not who it is.
Well, 5:30 in the morning on Wednesday, after the eviction notice was, canceled or put off until this week, Jasper was over on my boat for I don't know how many times he's been over there, but he's basically totaled my boat. I mean, it's like probably $5,000 worth of damage.
Oh.
And at 5:30 in the morning on Wednesday morning, he was over there doing exactly the same thing. And Harley, I don't know if you know him. He's living in the trailer right next to my shop on the other side of the road. He caught him at it again.
Oh.
And it's just like it doesn't stop. I called the mayor's office and I explained to them that I'm really unhappy. If the eviction notice had gone through, that probably wouldn't have happened to me the following day. And so, I'm feeling like the victim here too.
Yeah.
Because I spent 21 years of my life. I mean, I own the building. I worked very hard for it. And then I have a bunch of people that are not respective of the other people's property. They don't use the golden rule.
Right.
And I can't understand why someone would turn into that, using meth. I mean, I can't even imagine meth would be fun. I don't know anything about it.
I don't know. I'm not a speeder.
Yeah,
I drink more than 1 cup of coffee and I'm miserable. So last thing I want to do is
Well,
I can't do that. I'm a mellow, smoke a joint and sit in my rocking chair and listen to some Grateful Dead or something.
Yeah, it sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
No, it's that's all I like, because I like my beer and my weed, and that's it. But so I'm really anxious tomorrow to see what's going to happen here. Do you have any thoughts about that, or?
I don't know. I'm gonna pray tonight though, because I don't have a place to go, and I don't know how to handle this issue that I'm having. I've been everywhere, and luckily there have been a few agencies that have been very generous and kind. It seems to me like if you don't want to sleep on the street, that there are programs that will help you get off the street. I've met several homeless people. I never thought I would be homeless.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a tax-paying citizen, single mom, bought and sold a house, and you know, got my master's, and I'm fully licensed, had my own private practice, worked in community mental health for like 7 or 8 years, and I never thought I would be looking at this.
Yeah.
But I'm so surprised, I have to say, not only some of the other homeless people have been so kind, but the people helping them. It's like, it's really been a kind of a beautiful thing to witness. I've been doing a little bit of volunteer work when I can, when I feel okay, for Food Not, well, they call it COPS here, but when I did it in Brattleboro, we called it Food Not Bombs.
Yeah.
And it's just some of the conversations and some of the things that come through the donations and the, you know, the kindness is the thing that keeps me going.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, most of often I'm wondering, like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like that Talking Head song. This is not my beautiful life.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I saw you on the news, I mean, I was thinking, how did you end up here? Because you seem like a very intelligent, you know.
There are some very intelligent people here, though.
Yeah.
And I think that people sometimes make assumptions about how people end up in these situations. And I had this idea that if you interviewed everybody that's willing to, you could make a really interesting book, a case study on people's what led them.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of nature and it's a bit of nurture, and it's also, from my perspective, quite unnecessary. I had said on the interview that I learned in sociology class, this isn't just this country, this is the whole world, that if the people who are extremely wealthy donated 6% of their income, it would end world hunger.
Yeah, we know that's not going to happen.
Well, you never know.
Well, one can hope. One can hope.
Maybe the ones who want to will donate 12% to make up for those who don't want to.
So you feel like George Soros and people like that would actually do that?
Well, does it hurt them? If they're that wealthy, they can't possibly spend all that amount of money in their lifetime. They can, you know, hand it down to their children, but there's ways for that stuff to collect interest until their children are old enough and hopefully responsible enough to acquire those funds. Is it their responsibility, though, is, I think, what came up for me is, you know, some people would be like, oh, definitely, if it ends world hunger, no problem. But others might feel like, well, I inherited this money, or I worked my butt off all my life, you know, and those people are over there cooking crack. Like, how is it my responsibility to feed them?
Yeah. Well,
but if you really look at things from the perspective of like this heart-centered place, that, you know, when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of need, and every single one of us needs those things. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us didn't get that in the beginning, or were not taught how to meet our needs in the healthiest way. I learned in counseling, one of the best things one of my counselors taught me was, what makes you think you can't get your need met simply by asking a question? Because I would do all these roundabout things thinking it was going to be a no all the time. That was my thinking somehow. And it cleared up for me. It's like, you may get 6 no's in a row, but the 7th time, if you keep trying, maybe it's not a yes, but maybe it's, well, I know someone that has a cap for that truck, and I'm wondering, because the truck that it came from is still in their yard, if it's, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So if you persevere and have a good attitude even after all the no's, usually you find a way.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a question. Okay, I think we agreed that there are really good people here, and then there's some bad people here, or should I say, not so good people.
Well, people involved in some unsavory activity.
This is a hypothetical question. What would happen if you went and hooked up with all the good people that you know here in this camp tomorrow, and you set up a position, your own line, and you protest the move, okay, the eviction, and state the reason why. It's because you're good people and you just want to live in peace, and the problem is over there. And I think that's what needs to happen, is that people don't really understand in this area. Most of the people in Burlington didn't even know this place existed until a few weeks ago, until it hit the news.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the thing
I
is
wasn't aware
so
of
they're
that.
just looking at it as like, oh, this whole place is drug infested, it's bad, there are guns down here, there was a meth bust, that type of thing. Most people in Burlington had no idea until recently.
I see.
And they don't understand that there are good people here and there are bad people here. And the thing is, if you separate yourself into your own herd, in your own group, and you say, we're against this also, but we also need a place to stay. Can we fix this problem? And I think that's a question that needs to be asked, and it'd be wonderful if you guys actually did that. Because if you put together a group in solidarity and explain what the situation is down here, I think that you would sway a lot of people in Burlington in their opinions. So I'm familiar with this camp because I own a building across the road, and I also know Harley. I don't know if you've probably met him.
I heard about him.
Yeah, super nice guy. But I mean, he's kind of filled me in on what's going on
Wait
over
a minute,
here.
I did meet someone named Harley
Yeah,
recently.
he's
yeah.
a little bit shorter than me. He shaves his head, goatee. Looks kind of Italian, dark featured.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably have met him.
Yeah.
He's been through here many, many times.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys should organize something like that and actually make the public aware that there's different things going on down here than just all ugly. As I said before, for 21 years we've always had homeless over here, but there's never been a problem.
Right.
The problem started 3 years ago, and it hasn't gotten better. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Just because I don't know a lot about it. I mean, I worked with dual diagnosis, but I referred out a lot in terms of substance abuse. I mean, I did what I could in the office, but a lot of that happens at meetings and things like that. And I'm just curious, do you know much about treating with methadone and that kind of thing?
I have friends that are on methadone, and for various reasons. It wasn't from a drug addiction like heroin. They didn't switch to methadone because of that. It was mainly like major back surgery, fusing vertebrae. They had them on so many different types of drugs, and
Yeah.
it seems like for the long term, methadone seems to be what they use for long-term pain care.
I see.
So there are people that do methadone recreationally.
Oh.
I don't know any.
Yeah, I was just wondering that the effectiveness. I can look it up, but some people, when I was actively doing social work, I know that there were some people who really supported it, and they saw, they saw success, and then there were other people who felt like people were just using it as an excuse and getting free drugs or something.
Well, I guess my opinion on that, and I have several different ways of looking at this. I see like friends of mine that have had like major surgeries, crushed hips, stuff like that are on methadone.
Yeah.
They're doing it not for fun.
Right.
And the big side effect of methadone is it really affects your thinking process. It slows you down. You're not as functional as you normally would be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you a high like heroin or fentanyl.
Okay.
I think
so it's
that,
more for pain management.
Yeah.
and-
I think that
well,
there's.
that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said if you have like a heroin addict or a fentanyl addict that says, I'm at the end of my ropes, I want to quit, and I don't want to get sick in the process. Giving them methadone, I think, is a good thing. If it's a stepping stone to get them off of the heroin and the fentanyl, I think it's well worth doing. I'm not against that, not at all.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll still be here if they don't kick us out. I don't know where I'm going to go if they do. But I, as a social worker, I care about every single person here.
Yeah.
And in certain ways, not like personally, I have to keep my boundaries firm, right? But in terms of the unconditionally loving part of me and the one that wears the social work hat, those ones that are highly addicted, that are not necessarily happy about it, but don't know what else to do. And they're trying to, the way I see it is essentially they're trying to escape from their pain. I care about them even more in a way, in the sense of, if there was something that they could, a process that they could engage in regarding recovery, I care about them getting their needs met first, more so than someone who's having other kinds of struggles. So if you have any ideas, I'm pretty much welcome to talk to anybody here. I stay out of people's personal camps unless I'm invited, but I'd be more than happy if there was something that could be written or just distributed that you think might be helpful, or if the neighbors want to each write a paragraph about their concerns, I'd be happy to make copies. And actually I have 32 cents to my name still for a week now, which is a record. But if you gave me copies, I'd be more than happy to hand them out. And I'm more than happy to communicate with the mayor's office or do whatever is necessary. I would like for people to live in peace, however that happens.
Well, I still think your best plan of attack is forming two groups in this camp, the good people and the bad people, and fighting it on that front. I think you'll gain a lot more traction if you do that. And unfortunately, with fentanyl, or not fentanyl, but crystal meth or methamphetamine, whatever you want to call it, there is nothing that they can give you to take you down off of it. I mean, it's not like heroin where you can give someone methadone. There is an equivalent to methadone for the drugs that they're doing over there, unfortunately. But no, I think your best plan of attack is if you guys, the good people over here unite, tomorrow, and because I'm sure this will be broadcast on the news and everything, and if you stand up and actually say, what you're looking for. You talked with me, and I totally understand. And anybody hearing hearing an interview with you is going to listen to you. So, I mean, if you were willing to do that, take it on yourself and get these people together and, point out that the problem is over there with the meth.
I don't want to be combative. It's just the social worker, the empathetic person in me is really guarded against sort of categorizing good versus bad. I think the way I like to think about it is sort of, people who are not addicted versus those who are. And because I want to make an assumption that they're actually good people inside, who, for whatever reason, ended up going down a road that is not necessarily healthy. So there's the healthy people, and then there's the ones who maybe the majority of them would like to be healthy. They just don't know. They're so used to doing things in an offhand sort of way, and kind of just ended up in the circumstances that they are.
Well, they're so far removed from a normal life that they probably can't see a way back. Would that be a good way to put it?
You know what? I'm not addicted to anything. I take 1 or 2 puffs in the day and 1 or 2 puffs at night of, decent marijuana. And that's it. But what you just said describes my situation. And I am a good person. And I do have a heart. And I care. So I just want you to know that.
Well, I hope everything works out for you.
Thank
you. I mean, if they clean this place out, I mean, this is the scenario I would like to see, okay, is I'd like to see the city come down tomorrow, close the whole camp down, scoop up everything that's here, get rid of it so it's back to the way it used to be. And then selectively allow certain people, like yourself, people that don't have a drug history, a criminal record, things like that. If you move back in here, it wouldn't bother me one bit.
I don't know if you've taken a look at all, but a lot of stuff got cleaned up. It was really bad. And they brought people, and we all chipped in a little bit, and it's looking so much better. So it goes to show you what one day of all the people in the community that are willing and able can do when they come and pitch in.
But
So I don't know
here's another question for
if
you.
that's necessary.
The city, as of last year, was dropping off dumpsters here, to put garbage in,
Yep.
and they dropped off the portalets and stuff like that. So the whole community here had the option to clean up the place, but nothing happened.
Right.
So at that point, I mean, if they're given an opportunity to clean the place up and be left alone, they should have taken it.
Yeah.
Instead, they didn't. And that's what led us to where we are today.
Right.
So, I mean, it's truly unfortunate, but,
But the
unfortunately.
majority of us do care, and we all pitched in. And
Yeah.
when you're taken from
but-
experience, when you have to go across town by a certain hour and wait in a line to take a shower, right? And I like my showers. I like
Yeah.
to be clean. And then you have to go to another part of town because you have 32 cents in your pocket to go to the food shelf and have a meal. And then you got to come back, and I'm lucky because I have a vehicle.
Yeah.
The majority of these folks don't.
Mhm.
So they either have to walk or go on a bike. And if it's winter and they don't have a vehicle, they're walking or they're taking the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And so just getting those things done, it's almost like
It's a
by
day's
the
worth of
time,
work.
Exactly. You're like, it's 5:00 and I haven't had time to apply for that job I saw in the paper yet.
Yeah.
Because I've been too busy just taking care of my survival needs.
Yeah.
It's
But-
hard.
But the big thing, too, is I look around your vehicle, there's no garbage. There's nothing.
Yeah.
The thing is you can effectively, like the gentleman that lives in the house right over there, the one right by the pole, he's an Italian guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at his place, it's super
Spotless.
clean, nice.
It is.
If every place was down here was like that, again, I say it again, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate because I know that the good people probably took advantage of the dumpster and were actually loading the stuff up. I think I saw a lot of that on the media. I didn't know the people involved, but it certainly wasn't the other factor.
Right.
They don't care. You don't bring garbage in with you, and if you do, you bring it out with you.
Right.
They just bring garbage in, it never leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've walked
Some
around,
of
you've
them.
seen it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but,
Well, I'm going to continue to hold a good vision. I mean, we've got about 12 hours here, so it'll be really interesting to see what
Yeah.
happens. And I'm so sorry, and please tell your neighbors. My heart goes out to them too.
yeah.
I'm not siding. I'm just because I could easily be one. I had a house. I could have been one of your neighbors as
Yeah.
well.
Well, maybe someday you will be, I mean,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it'd be great, if the place was cleaned up. And as I said, people that are taking care of the place and whatever, I don't have any problem with. It's the other factor.
Yeah.
So,
I
But-
hear you.
yeah.
And if you want me to do anything, I'd be happy to give you my phone number.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to collaborate if it's something positive.
if you give me your phone number, I don't want to put
Sure.
want to put your phone number on the video.
Okay.
But I'm Chris, by the way.
Hi, Chris. I'm Gina.
Gina,
Nice to meet
pleased
you.
to meet you.